Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you a flip through of my Pieces of Home Traveler's Notebook, which is actually this pink and black one here. If you're not familiar, Pieces of Home is a part of a bigger umbrella of a documenting project by Ali Edwards called Pieces of Life. And she's had multiple little sessions of this throughout different years. I believe it started with Pieces of Me, which I actually have the Traveler's Notebook, but have not finished yet. I'm going to be doing that one next. Then she also had Pieces of Home, which is the one that I just completed, and then Pieces of the Past and Pieces of Play. They're really fun. You can get these Traveler's Notebooks off of her website, although I could not find the Pieces of Home one, so I do have the digital one, and I popped it into a pre-existing Traveler's Notebook that I already had. But I do have process video, flip through kind of things for Pieces of the Past and Pieces of Play over here on my YouTube channel. So I will link those two below if you haven't watched those. But today I really just wanted to flip through my newest one, Pieces of Home, with you guys today. So actually over on Patreon this month, I am doing a combination of a few different projects, like kind of a January catch up of some projects that I've wanted to do, but have not been able to complete. And these two were things that I really, really wanted to work on, but had not actually completed the project yet. So this was so fun. It was a really easy, fun project to do over just a few days. So let me get myself together and I'll go ahead and flip through this one with you now. Okay, so I wanted to get you a little bit closer, but basically what I did for this one is I printed off the digital version, which is available on Ali's website now. I'll link it below. Unfortunately, there were no physical Traveler's Notebooks available, and I've kind of been checking for a while now, and I was able to purchase this one, but not Pieces of Home. So I bought the digital version, and then you get all of the pages, so it's totally easy and ready for you to put the Traveler's Notebook together. You can also print off the cover if you want. I've considered printing it and adding it on, but for now I'm not doing that. This is actually just a Traveler's Notebook that I already owned from Pipsticks, and it's just been sitting on my shelf, so I thought, why not? I'll use it. I kind of hate that it doesn't match the others, but that's just the way that it goes, right? So I did go ahead and I knew that I had enough pages. So I went ahead and adhered down the Pieces of Home front page. I always stamp it with whenever I'm working on it. Then I have like the pages that they're always at the beginning. So these pages are always within the actual Traveler's Notebooks that you buy. So I thought, why not? I'll just add them into mine. Sometimes I like to read Ali's words about the different prompts and ideas and things like that. So I think that that's fun. So that's what all those pages are at the beginning. And then you move on to the first prompt. So this first prompt was table. And I thought that this one was a really fun prompt because along with a lot of these, because there are things that I would not typically think about to scrapbook. So even within doing Project Life and kind of daily, weekly, monthly scrapbooking, where you do get those little slices of life in little pieces, this bar, which is kind of our table, our main table that we use, is just not something that I would typically chat about in a story. So I just love that I was able to take a minute to write about this table because it is a special little spot where me and Will spend a lot of our time together. And I thought that it was fun to talk about it. Also, really quick, I'll just show this one as an example. When you get the notebook and you go into the prompts, this is how it looks. So you have the left side is just a dotted page. That's just a 4x8. And then this other side is split off into two squares, roughly like a little bigger than a 4x4, I think, with the prompt here in the middle. So what I did here was the same thing. So I would use this left side as like a full page, and then the right side I would add in, you can see my prompt is there, which was just the digital version. So sometimes I would do a full page photo here for the left side, and sometimes I would put a small photo, sometimes I would decorate this side. It just depended really on what I was feeling like doing. But that one's table, and I was really excited to be able to tell this story. I got into it very quickly once I started this project. Then the second prompt was clean. And now whenever I worked on this project, it's been this last week, which if y'all have followed along on a lot of my videos recently, you'll know that January has definitely not been my month. We've been dealing with all kinds of things here. So my house was definitely not really well kept during this time. So I also tried to find little tiny things that I could document that didn't necessarily have to be like my entire house. So for clean, I didn't have some action shot of me cleaning or whatever. I decided to just take a picture of my pretty decorative plate wall that I love in my kitchen. And I just thought that it felt clean. It felt white and crisp. And I actually printed this off on vellum. And then I have this really cute vintage find. I love having vintage pieces throughout my house. And this one says, all the fine compliments, all the good wishes will never replace help with the dishes. And so I thought that that worked out really well for the cleaning prompt there. So I had fun just writing about how I feel about cleaning, you know, what that kind of means to me and all that kind of good stuff. Also, yeah, I printed this off on vellum, which it just makes for like a different texture, makes for a little bit of a different look. I don't know if you can super tell, but I really like the way that vellum looks. And also I mostly just grabbed things out of like my stash essentially, but I used a lot of papers from Vicki Boutin's Color Study and also had a few other random papers that I've recently grabbed from scrapbook.com. Then the third prompt was make, and this was I think one that a lot of us instantly think about crafting, making, you know, we're all makers, we all craft, we create so many things. So I definitely wanted to print off some sort of picture of my craft room. So this is my cube shelves that I have in my craft room. I also printed that off on vellum, but also with making, I think a lot of us might think of meals that we make. So I did print off a picture of one of the most recent meals, a soup that Will made. He's the cook in my home, but I definitely wanted to include that. And here at the beginning, like where Allie gives you some ideas, she suggested for make, say like in this home I make. So that's what I did. In this house we make. And so that was kind of my prompt. So I could say, in this house, we make tons of memory keeping projects, we make art, we make delicious meals, and we make plenty of messes. And I kind of wrote into all of those things. So I really do like the ideas for the journaling prompts. That helped a lot with kind of getting my thoughts in order and figuring out exactly what I wanted to talk about. Also, you'll notice with all of these, I did pull out my washi and I just tried to grab any washi that I thought would work just for the fun of it. So then for the next prompt, which was door, I'd seen Allie do this before and I'd also seen a few other people in the community, and I had an extra page in this traveler's notebook. So I thought, why not? So I added my prompt down to my paper and then I cut the top of it off so I could have kind of a little door here in the middle. And then I printed off my photo larger so I could have a picture of my front door kind of spanning the majority. It's a little short, but I just added some pattern paper, but it could span the majority of these 2 pages here. And then I could have my journaling there in the middle. And I felt like this little guy was sort of like a little half door. So I thought that that was cute. And again, this prompted a story talking about our front door and kind of, I said, like the portal into our happy bubble, our safe haven, our little home. So I really do like to have a prompt from time to time because I feel like it makes you kind of think outside the box and tell those stories that maybe you would not normally tell. Then I just decorated the other side of that one. Then we moved on to watch. So again, filled up this entire page with pattern paper and a little random embellishment that's super old. And I didn't know what to take for this one, but we typically do watch a lot of things on smaller devices here, although we have the big screen TVs and all that. But a lot of times I end up watching things on my laptop in my craft room, or we watch things on our iPads, on our iPhones, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I wanted to take a picture of here because that's kind of the most typical way that I do consume things on my TV. And then I took a cue from Allie's project that she did and put currently watching and talked about that, looking forward to watching, talked about that, and then kind of just did a little general journaling about the way that we watch things and where we watch things and all that kind of good stuff. Then moving on to grow, I think that this is my favorite spread. I just love the plant here, and I love this paper from Vicki Boutin. And then I found a cute little sticker there in the middle that says, "And the sun took a step back," which is one of those random embellishments that I'm like, when am I ever going to use that? But I felt like it worked for grow. So again, Allie did give a suggestion here at the beginning that you could say, in this home I grow, or around here we grow. So you could definitely do that. For this one, I kind of just chatted about not really having a green thumb and not growing a ton of stuff, but this is a house plant that I have that is thriving. And I do have a few house plants, but and how I am longing for spring, especially with having the snowstorm this past week. I'm just longing for spring for sure. And then I talked about kind of moving into that, talked about me and Will always growing in our relationship and things like that. So just kind of took it to a different place, which I think is fun for these prompts because they don't have to be, they can be super literal or they don't have to be. And of course, with growing, you could talk about plants, or you could talk about your family or your kids or your pets or anything like that. And then the last prompt is home. So I was very lucky to have a couple pictures of my house that I had taken like right before Christmas. So there's still newer photos. This is still how my house looks. Like our living room area is here, and then that's our front door going into our kitchen. And so I had this photo. So then I was able to kind of show how the house normally looks when it's not in such chaos that it is right now. And then I wanted to incorporate the doggies in here. So I had this cute picture of them laying on the bed. So I decided to pop that in as well as like a double photo, and just chatted about our home. So I'll read this journaling here just to kind of end the project. It says, "I'm so grateful that we are able to live on the same property with my parents. Being neighbors with them is so comforting and special. I'm so grateful that this house was already here, just waiting for me and Will to move in and reinvent it into our very own space. I'm so grateful for this happy, cozy, safe space, a place to snuggle our pups, to make delicious vegan meals, to plan future trips, to laugh loud and talk things out, a place to celebrate holidays and to continue to make more memories every day, a place to be completely unapologetically ourselves, and to always know we are welcome. Our favorite forever, our home." So I think it's also definitely when you do these projects from Allie, there's such an emphasis on journaling. But for me, I do really like to take that time and tell those stories and try to think of journaling that I would maybe want to go back and read. And this one is just, it's short, it's easy. There's just a small space there if you don't want to journal too much. But it is really fun to kind of take a minute and journal and talk about some of these things. So I super, super loved Pieces of Home. I'm excited to add this one to my others. So I'm excited now that I have fully completed Pieces of the Past, which in here, I believe that I did this one back in 2022, April of 22. Pieces of Play, which I did last year, February of 23. And then I have Pieces of Home, January of 24. And then, like I said, the next two videos for the $12 tier actually on my Patreon will be working on Pieces of Me, which I'm so excited. And within those, of course, we do maybe little flip throughs. We also have like lots more chit chat and process videos, and I read all the journaling and all that kind of good stuff in there. So those will be over on Patreon very soon for the end of the month. And then I will share a flip through over here whenever I'm done. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like. Please also consider subscribing, and I'll be back at you super soon. Bye, y'all.